I went out on Friday to go see. I was determined to go see 3 movies, and the first one that I went to was Creed, and I remained kind of. I was open-minded about Creed when I first heard about it. I was like, well, it's Ryan Coogler. He's got integrity and so forth. It looks like it's got a good cast. Who knows? Might be all right. And it was better than all right. It was probably a movie that's just as good as Rocky, in my opinion. In some ways, maybe even better, I think. It's definitely the most well-photographed film of the series. And I was just ridiculously moved by it, and also so impressed with its, just as with Rocky, it seems like the other movies didn't even happen really. The ones in between 2 and Creed. It feels like we went totally back to a long time spent on getting to know these characters, and then only a fraction of the time devoted to the training and the fights and so forth. And so it makes the fights even more. That makes the fights even more important to you, to the viewer. But I was just so impressed with just about every aspect of it. And of course, particularly, the performances. Michael B. Jordan, of course, in the lead, and the big surprise of Tessa Thompson in the supporting as the sort of hearing impaired girlfriend, and which they don't make a big deal out of her hearing impairment, but and then of course the great performance by Sylvester Stallone that really just, I think he's just got the supporting actor award just locked up. Nobody can win that. Nobody's going to get in there. It's like, it doesn't matter who else. I mean, you guys both saw it, right?
Yeah, I think. I would. I'm sure. A lot of people would wish that, like, Rocky 3 through whatever Rocky Balboa didn't happen. They're all just a bad dream. Just get out of the shower or whatever. It didn't happen. This film is. What does it say though about a movie-going year where 2 of your best films are basically sequels to movies from like 3 decades ago? What does that? That's very. I don't know what that says, but it took all the things that made Rocky, why we like Rocky in the first place, and I thought magnified them. I think the last half hour of this movie, you are so on the edge of your seat. And I don't know about you, but you can't. That boxing match at the end, there's a sequence in there that you get into it, and then there's a part in there that it elevates, and then it reaches a crescendo, and you are just like, yeah. And it's incredible. But Michael B. Jordan's performance is, astounding. I don't think, I like Fruitvale Station. I think it's an excellent film. But I haven't seen him in anything that really, you really do believe he's Apollo Creed's son. You believe
of course, he was great in The Wire. He played the one sort of reluctant kid that,
right.
But,
this is a very grown-up role, even though this is not, I hate to use this phrase, a genre film, but it's a very grown-up role. It's a very mature, it's a very confident performance. It's not, he just, as soon as we meet him in this as the older Adonis, he's just in control of the film. It is a really ballsy performance. And Tessa Thompson is superb, and Stallone, where has this Sylvester Stallone been? It's such a great performance.
It's true.
It's really well done.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was. Yeah, absolutely. I agree in all those points. What did you think, Jamie?
I liked it a lot, and as I was telling you last night, Dean. I mean, it goes without saying, it's the best one since the first one. It seems to be. I mean, they've just it's fresh, and yet it pays homage to all the elements of the initial Rocky that we all love so much. So it definitely has the gritty feeling. It has the feeling of the sweet blossoming love. So it's got all that going for it. The problem that I had, which did not totally derail it for me, but weakened it for me, was that I didn't know why he wanted to fight so much, like what he had to prove. If he hated his father so much, why he wanted to follow his father's footsteps. And I thought it would have helped dramatically to have had a sense of that before he started on this journey, because I was confused by it. I wasn't as fully with him as I wanted to be. So the climax of the movie, he reveals why, and it's the big stand up and cheer moment of the movie. But if that had come earlier,
I loved that it was held back because I was so already invested in the character that it really didn't occur to me to really understand why he wanted to do this. It was something that he wanted, and I got it.
I didn't have a problem with. I thought that was sort of a given that it's in the genes.
It's something that I sort of sensed. Early on.
I didn't sense that. I mean, it's in the genes, but they're genes that he rejects through most of the movie, and yet he's working towards. I understand. I know no one else has said this about the movie, and it didn't derail the movie for me. Like I said, I just thought dramatically. I mean, you just to feel that he is an underdog. I would have really appreciated it a lot more if it were revealed earlier.
Okay. I mean, I took it even just from a general, even if his father was not Apollo Creed, like I think he felt caged in, he felt constrained, like in the investment banking job that he had, or the office job. I mean, you can tell. I mean, but I also think it's very important that scene where Felicia Rashad comes to get him out of the juvie.
I think that says it all, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very telling scene. And you're watching the film, and you're like, wait, is this you're thinking to yourself, no other Rocky movie has started out like this, and nor should it. Yeah. This is a different animal in that sense. But I do think that opening scene does really, to me at least, as a writer and everything, that does, what the motivation is all there. I think, if I can paraphrase Sam Smith, the writing's on the wall.
And I like, if they would have had him saying something like the line that you might have desired, Jamie, early on in the movie, I think it might have felt a little, I don't know, formulaic if it had been called back to later on in the film with Stallone. I think that you might have been able to sort of predict it or whatever, but when it's revealed as it is, it's a surprise because it comes in at such a time that's not a pensive moment of reflection. It's a moment of rather chaos going on all around them. So I thought that it was inventive. Yeah,
and I thought this film also did something that they weren't able to do in the last
Rocky
one.
Is formulaic.
Well, it is.
Rocky invented a formula that it's held to for 40 years.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say
this one holds to
a formula because it's really Rocky itself is a throwback to things like in the 50s, But I mean, you could say Rocky itself is a throwback to something like somebody up there likes me or something like that.
That's so funny. I was just about to say that. I was really just about to say somebody up there likes me. I was reading about that earlier today, but
what I'm saying is, the sports film is a formula. And this one doesn't really, this one doesn't revolutionize it necessarily.
No.
So I mean, to have something formulaic in your climax, which I always try to put something formulaic in mine.
We all do. I mean, trust me, if we still can at this age. But
hey, listen, if it works, it works.
And I didn't think the big. And there are moments that I didn't think quite worked in it, like the run with the motorcycles and how that crescendos. It felt really silly at the end of that sequence.
There was a tiny bit of silliness there, but
I love the music. Though. The music was awesome. Like finally, like a score with elements that you can latch onto, like. It's not all these dissonant tones and shit. It's actually a score, and it's proud of it.
I loved just the little many tips of the hat to the Bill Conti score that you hear all the way through it that aren't really lifts from the original score, but are just recall it. And then you're like, I wonder if they're going to have the fanfare in it, the big fanfare. And it happens, and you're just like, wow, this is just so great.
It hits you right in a good way. I wanted to add, though, about Stallone, though, I thought this film did much better than what they tried to do in I guess it would be the sixth one and obviously the fifth one. That I thought this film did a much better job of showing him like sort of as the has-been who needs to prove himself, redeem himself. And I thought this film did that much better in just showing, not telling, showing. I mean, they're just elements, they're just certain scenes that I thought there was a melancholy in it that I thought was so beautifully done that he couldn't do any others.
And how wonderful was it that it wasn't something that they make it so that it's not something that he really wants to get involved in.
Right.
So it's an act of selflessness what he's doing with Creed eventually, and it's not about him really. It's about and it never is. Even up until the end, it's really all about trying to help him achieve his goals.
And I thought it was
Rocky's goals.
I mean, going back to formula, I thought it was asking for trouble when it made him sick. But I thought it handled it well. I thought it did it well.
It did. It never got maudlin, really. If I had one tiny complaint, and this is just the tiniest of complaints, and the movie still achieves a certain amount of this effect, but in the original Rocky, there was a great deal of humor, mostly from Rocky himself and his lines, but also from Burt Young. There was a great deal of humor in it, and I felt like this could have used a tiny bit more of that. It's still in there. Rocky still has enough funny lines, but it could have used just a tiny bit more, I think. But this is just I'm searching for something not to to complain about in the film, because there's really nothing.
To me, this is the big later of the year, like surprise hit. I mean, home run. And I won't lie to you, when I first heard about it, I would never have thought it would have been this film, but it is this film. This is really
you haven't seen Alvin and the Chipmunks 2 yet, have you?